Do you remember when winters were real? When the world outside was covered in ice, but somehow our hearts were never cold? The snow fell softly, the air felt pure, and every window glowed with the warmth of home. Those were simple, quiet days, and they were full of love. Today, let's take a journey back in time. Back to those winters that time seems to have forgotten. The first day of snow was always magical. Even before the flakes fell, you could feel it coming. A different kind of silence, a peace that settled over everything. Kids would rush to the windows, and the adults would share a quiet smile. The snowflakes would dance under the glow of the lamppost, and for just a few moments the world felt transformed. That first snowfall wasn't just a change in season. It was an invitation. An invitation to slow down, to breathe, and to be with the ones we loved. Inside the house, life was warmer than anywhere else in the world. The scent of burning wood, the soft hiss of the kettle on the stove, the aroma of bread baking in the oven. That was the smell of happiness. We didn't need much back then. An old worn blanket, a steaming mug of tea, the sound of family laughter echoing through the rooms. The walls might have been thin, but the love inside them made any house feel like a castle. It was a warmth that didn't just come from the fire. It came from people, from connection, from just being present with each other. Outside, a blanket of white covered everything, but life carried on, simple, yet full of soul. Neighbors helped each other clear their paths. Kids flew down hills on makeshift sleds, and teenagers laughed, their faces flushed red from the cold. No one had very much, but everyone always seemed to have enough. The cold had a way of bringing people together, of creating a strength and a sense of community that feels so rare today. Our boots were always damp, our fingers were often frozen, but our hearts were always warm. The nights were different too. As the day slowly faded, the fire would crackle in the stove and the house would fill with stories. No one was staring at a screen or lost in a rush. Time moved at a slower pace, and even the silence had a beautiful sound to it. You could hear the wind howling outside and feel completely safe, wrapped in the security of being together. The firelight danced across familiar faces, and every gaze held a sense of peace. Maybe that's what we've lost the most, the value of that silence, the simple pleasure of calm. Today, the world has changed. The snows don't seem to fall the same way, the rhythm of life is frantic, and people rush past each other, barely making eye contact. But deep down, the warmth of those winters still lives inside of us. It's preserved in our memories, in certain smells, in the melody of an old song. Time may have changed the landscape, but it could never take away the feeling. So, the next time the snow begins to fall, even if it's just for a moment, close your eyes and let yourself feel it again. Because the world may have changed, but the warmth of those real winters still lives in our hearts. Do you remember waking up and seeing everything covered in white? The snow-laden trees looked as if they were spun from glass. The streets were hushed and still, and the air was so cold that your breath turned to steam. It was beautiful, and somehow even the biting cold felt like an embrace. We'd pile on layers of clothes, pull on heavy boots, and head out into the world, to play, to help, to live. The cold was a part of life, but it was also a part of the joy. Each snowflake felt like a tiny miracle drifting down from the sky. I remember seeing the smoke rising from the chimneys, one after another, like each house was breathing. It was a sign that there was life inside, that there was warmth and family. Sometimes the wind would blow hard and the snow would drift up against the door, but nobody complained. We'd just grab a shovel, clear a path, and after all that hard work, we'd come back inside with rosy cheeks and light hearts. It was tiring, yes, but in a good way. The kind of tired that ends with a bowl of hot soup and shared laughter around the dinner table. And when the power went out? That was never a reason for panic. It was a reason for candles. We'd light them all, put an extra log on the fire, and the house would be completely transformed. Shadows would dance on the walls as we told stories. There was no television, no distracting noise, only our voices, our laughter, and the crackling of the fire. It was in those moments that time seemed to stand still. There was no hurry, no anxiety. There was only the present moment, and the deep comfort of being together with the people you love. Christmas was the heart of winter. The small town streets were lit up with simple lights, but they were full of meaning. The scent of fresh pine filled our homes. The children waited eagerly, not for expensive gifts, but for moments, for family to be reunited, to hear a familiar carol on the radio, to feel the tight embrace of a loved one. The snow would fall gently on Christmas night, and it felt like the entire world was at peace. There was no luxury, but there was something even more valuable that feels so rare today: a deep sense of gratitude. Even the ordinary days had their own quiet charm. Walking to school with the icy wind on your face, stopping to chat with a neighbor, hearing the distant scrape of a shovel on the sidewalk. There was a calmness in that routine. People didn't live in a constant hurry. Time had a different rhythm, a human rhythm. Winter taught us patience. It taught us to look after one another and to value the warmth that comes from the heart, not just from the fire. Today, the world runs too fast. We live surrounded by screens, connected to everything and at the same time, so disconnected from each other. Our houses are warmer, but our conversations sometimes feel colder. The silence that once brought peace now makes people feel anxious. The snow still falls, but it seems to lack that old enchantment that made our hearts beat just a little slower. Sometimes I wonder if it's us who have changed, and not the winter. But there is something that time can never take away. Inside each of us, there's still that little boy, that little girl looking out the window, watching the first snowflakes fall and feeling that same old sense of wonder, the memory of the smell of firewood, the sound of the crackling fire, the laughter around the table. That's still there. No amount of progress, no rush, no screen can ever replace the human warmth that filled those days. So, when the cold comes again, just stop for a moment. Turn off the noise. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Remember when winters were real, when the world was simpler, but love felt deeper, when each day was a lesson in patience, in community, and in gratitude. The winters may never be the same again, but that feeling, that warmth, is ours to keep forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If this brought back some warm memories for you, please like this video and subscribe for more stories. We'd love to have you with us.